Crop Talk on Market Journal is supported by Nebraska's soybean farmers and their checkoff. Finally today, budgets can help estimate expected income, expense, and profit. As we look forward to another growing season, the University of Nebraska has released a new round of crop budgets. No surprise here, all 84 budgets indicate a rising cost of production. To learn more about the 2023 crop budgets, we sat down with Extension Educator and Farm and Ranch Management Analyst Glennis McClure. We are talking about the latest round of the crop budgets now for 2023. You publish these annually.
Right.
Big picture, why is it important that the university does this research and shares this information?
Well, I think it's a lot of people use our information, and the University of Nebraska has done these for many, many years, and we've got a lot of detail behind those. And so we have folks from all across the Midwest actually that look to our budgets for information that we provide. But I think the key thing, the reason we do those is they're a guide for producers to take a look at and to utilize or pick out what budgets kind of fit what they're doing, and then just make some modifications, because it's really important that folks do their own. You know, every farming operation is unique. And so you really can't look at one of our budgets and say, that's mine, because there's so much that goes into it. And we're trying to make it easier all the time for them to be able to do their own.
Nebraska is a diverse state when it comes to the eastern end to the west side.
Exactly.
How many crops, or give us an idea of the kinds of crops that you cover within the budgets?
Right. Well, we actually have 84 different budgets, and they are numbered 1 through 84. We start off with alfalfa. Basically, if you look at the list, they're alphabetized. So, of course, we got the most is corn, because corn's grown across the state in just about every county. But it goes down to wheat, of course, sugar beets, dry edible beans, soybeans. We even have some pasture budgets. There's a couple cover crop budgets in there. So it really covers a lot of different crops that are grown in Nebraska.
Over the past few years, we've faced some interesting challenges in the row crop sector and all of agriculture across the Midwest. We've got a lot of input prices that are up, but commodity prices are also up. As you look at this year's budgets, what are you seeing?
Well, definitely we saw an increase in all the budgets as I took a look at those after we were done with them all. Yes, we saw increases in cost of production as our estimates going into 2023. Now, again, some of the research that we do on the input prices will come in that August to September, October timeframe. And so some of that could change, because already some of the fertilizer prices have backed off a little bit. We saw the reverse of that a year ago. We probably had things a little low, even like fuel prices were lower. And then as soon as we got those things published, we saw a tick up in fertilizer, fuel, that kind of thing. So this year, again, we're still seeing those higher prices, and some of that was, factored in now for going into 2023. It really depends, again, the uniqueness of farmers and their different situations, where for 2022, they might have locked in some lower input prices going into that year. And then what they did this year, I don't know, but some of those higher input costs probably were made up for, as they're looking into 2023.
Glennis, when you visit with those who use the crop budgets, how are they able to take that information and customize it for their operation? Can you share an example of that?
Well, we've done those budgets for years and years using Excel. And we continue to do that, and those are found on our CAP website as well as the Crop Watch website. But the last few years now, I've entered those, or I've had a student help, and we've entered those into the Ag Budget Calculator program. So that's a new resource that we've developed, and it's really well developed now for the crop side of things. And so folks, I'm teaching that constantly. More users the better, because we really want folks to be able to take a look at our budgets, perhaps download those into the ABC program, those that fit their operations, and then go in and make modifications. Some of the key things that would need to be modified, of course, is their machinery and their equipment, because their costs and the items that we choose are kind of, middle of the road, maybe even lower cost, where some folks, of course, there's been a big jump up in those prices too, for combines, tractors, implements, that kind of thing. And then also even like the fuel, as well as land costs, land and rent, we know has gone up. I think in the values that we put into the budgets this last year, overall, they went up about 16% from the year prior. So all of those things need to be taken into consideration. So we want folks to be able to put their own information into like the Ag Budget Calculator and crank out their own budgets.
As we wrap up our conversation today, Glennis, any surprises in the numbers that you saw this year?
Not really. I guess well, definitely on the wheat side of things, it was kind of, if you look at over the last 2 years, I think we saw over a 60% increase in the input costs there. And, we're still talking around that 20 to 25% increase in costs. And I guess the one thing too, you mentioned that, of course, commodity prices have been higher. Is that, yes, our costs were higher, commodity prices have, luckily, that's kept up with. And actually, as you look at some of our charts that I've developed to show how actually our profit margins have increased. The last few years, we've actually done pretty well, even though the cost side's been going up. But that's definitely something we want to watch. What happens when your yields change, when you're, over time here, what's going to happen with the commodity prices. And so that's why it's really important to know your cost of production so you can make some decisions from that.
Some really useful information here. Glennis, we appreciate the time today.
Thank you.